I guess so. Good. How's everybody doing?
Good. Very good.
Good.
Well, to be back here in the foundation that you built, what are your impressions of this team, what you built, and day one as well?
Well, day one just back to work, right? I mean, these guys, everybody's put in a lot of time and a lot of effort over the summer. After, I'm sure, a little breather, after the end of the playoffs last year. So now it's just, it's a chance to get the group back together. And, one of the things we've talked about is just, let's make sure the competitiveness gets back to where it needs to be right away. It might not look all that clean. It might not look pretty at times, but we wanted to put a couple of days of camp together where there's scrimmages involved in order to help that process.
What's the biggest value of getting Hakstol back out?
Well, it's nice to see him. I mean, it's been a long road back for him. Obviously since just off of the All-Star break last year, that's a long time. And there was some disappointment in there for him. I mean, he watched his teammates go through a push to not only get in the playoffs, but find some success in the playoffs, and that's hard as a player. And we all know that Berkey was doing everything he could to work his way back in, but there was that wasn't meant to be last year. So he's done the work over the summer, and this is our first look at him here today. And it's nice to see him back there with the group.
Beyond competing quickly, what's your message to the team just about overall goals coming into this season?
We haven't got into any big goals yet. Still too early for that. Like, we lay the foundation right now. You don't get to waste a day. And that's I'm happy with today. We just had a real quick discussion as a group of coaches in the back room, and we got what we had hoped to get out of today, and more importantly, the level that we wanted to see. So we haven't got into any big picture things yet. Let's we just want to do the work right now. We have nearly 60 players in camp, so we want get some foundational pieces in place in terms of systems, and make sure the work is there in terms of the competition, the execution, and the pace.
Hey Dave, there's obviously competition for jobs. What's a timeline for you that gives you a reasonable amount of days and games and practices to determine who wins those games?
Well, that'll be. I mean, I expect that to go right through the sixth exhibition game, which we end in Edmonton. So I would expect everything to go right through that point in time. That's not a lot of time. Like I said, we're starting with 59 players in camp. There's going to be opportunity. Obviously, we know some of the young guys where they're going to be, and we'll make the determination when it's the right time for them to head back. But right now, I told those guys, their job is to compete and show us why they. At some point in time, if it's not going to be this year, even those guys show us why, you can be a part of this thing and help make us better as we go forward. Obviously, the majority of players in camp are competing for spots right now. So that's just day by day, and that's why we don't get too far ahead. We haven't got into any big picture messages, anything like that. It's do what you can do today right now, and that'll help us get ready.
The fourth line's going to look a little bit different this year. Guys like Geeky, Sprong, Donato gone. What role do you want the fourth line to have this year, and what are you looking for from guys competing for those spots?
That depends what it ends up being. I don't know I don't know exactly who's going to be in those spots yet as of this point in time, but we'll expect everybody to do their part, whether or not and that fourth line changed and was mixed quite a bit last year. The biggest thing is having everybody that's part of the final roster to feel like they're empowered, that when they're in and when they're part of the lineup, that they've got to go out and they've got to contribute in whatever manner that is right for their skill set. They have to go out and contribute and do their part for our group.
Dave, my understanding was that coaches were invited to the last general managers meetings in Chicago, and so I was wondering what you thought about that, whether you'd like for the coaches to be at least an annual part of those meetings.
Yeah, that was something in my time anyway that was new. I guess I haven't looked historically, but each of the GMs and head coaches were part of that, and communication is always a positive, and having the group together the same.
Dave, how good is it for you guys to have Chris Drieger back healthy and ready to go for 20 and be able to compete for that backup job for you guys?
Well, he's another guy we talked about, Berkey. You know, you go out and you spend a lot of time rehabbing from an injury, which Driegs had, did throughout most of last year. You know, his first year with us, was obviously we went through and we had a disappointing finish to that season, but he went over to the World Championships, had a great tournament, got injured, in the final game after playing a great tournament. And that was a tournament I'm sure that he in his mind, felt would really help set him up for, year number 2 coming in. Well, injuries are part of it. That wasn't meant to be, so he spent the majority of last year rehabbing. And again, now this is his opportunity to come back into camp and compete and be at his best level.
And what's the biggest challenge in going from all the buzz in the city, it was the end of the playoffs, you guys go to Game 7, round 2, to the starting line here in the next season?
Well, just making sure we're ready for the the starter's gun here, right? You don't just naturally pick up where you left off. You have to work to get back to that point, and I'm confident that our group will do that. We'll do that work here over the short term, over the next couple of weeks. And then you get right back into it. You have 82 games to build a playoff-worthy season, and that's I talked about it a lot last year about the challenges and the difficult challenge that is, the great challenge that is, but equally exciting. Like on the exciting side, it's an awesome opportunity for us to be able to start, get ready to start Game 1 to to build a season that puts us back in the playoffs.
How competitive do you expect this division to be? Vegas coming off winning the Cup, Edmonton's Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean,
last year.
yeah, look up and down. I mean, it's equally as competitive or more competitive than it was last year, and that's why I say you start at Game 1 and you have to work. You have to work through 82 games to put yourself in a position to be a playoff team, and nobody's getting ahead of themselves. Our group won't do that. We know that test that's in front of us. So, we've got to do the work, and you got to enjoy yourself along the way. And all we can do right now is evaluate day 1. And you know what? Our day 1 was pretty good. We worked today. We'll get organized and get ready for a good day 2.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks,
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Good to see everybody.
You too.